In 2025, a quiet shift is unfolding along the US-Canada border. Small towns, once vibrant with Canadian visitors, are now eerily silent. Malls stand half empty, restaurants cut back hours, and local business owners are left wondering, where are the Canadians? It's not just a drop in tourism numbers, it's canceled reservations, shrinking incomes, and entire communities feeling the pinch. Beyond economics, many Canadians express unease with how they're perceived or spoken about by some U.S. leaders, fueling this pullback. This change isn't just about cold statistics. It's the story of small towns where daily life was sustained by the economic flow from Canada. Shops, restaurants, and hotels that relied on Canadian visitors now face a new reality. Their regular customers aren't returning. The impact goes beyond revenue, disrupting the very way of life in communities long intertwined with their northern neighbors. As one border town business owner put it, "The bridge is still open, but the Canadians aren't coming." This silence isn't just economic, it signals a growing distance between two neighboring nations. Maine has long been a familiar destination for Quebecers. Weekends saw them crossing the border to fill up gas tanks, shop, or relax in coastal towns like Bar Harbor or Old Orchard Beach. But in 2025, those familiar roads are growing quiet. According to CBC News, Canadian border crossings into Maine have sharply declined, leaving towns like Calais and Houlton struggling. Gas stations and outlet stores built around Canadian day trippers report double-digit sales drops. Some restaurants have cut hours, a few have closed for good. This absence isn't just economic, it's a disruption of a way of life. For decades, American and Canadian communities along Maine's border moved in harmony. People shopped across the line, attended hockey games, or simply enjoyed weekends together. Now that rhythm is broken. A Calais business owner shared, "We're not just losing customers, we're losing friends." For rural towns where every Canadian dollar counts, this absence pushes businesses to the brink. Maine may not rely on international tourism like Florida, but for these small communities, the void is leaving a lasting mark. Vermont, with its golden fall foliage and snow-covered slopes, was once a haven for Canadians, especially from Quebec. But in 2025, the scene is shifting. Ski resorts like Jay Peak and Stowe, where French was heard on every lift, now see far fewer Canadian visitors. Hotels offer steeper discounts to fill rooms that once booked themselves. A ski instructor in Burke remarked, "Shorter wait times aren't due to better service, they're because fewer guests show up." Tourism is Vermont's lifeblood, supporting over 30,000 jobs. The drop in Canadian visitors, while not a collapse, sends ripples through the state. Towns reliant on seasonal tourism face fewer jobs, small shops lose steady income, and local budgets shrink. Locals feel the change, from quieter streets to leaner receipts. Vermont remains a charming destination, but the absence of familiar northern visitors is forcing communities to adapt to a new reality where stability is no longer guaranteed. Texas may not be the first place that comes to mind for Canadian tourism, but for tens of thousands of snowbirds from Alberta and British Columbia, it's been a winter haven. From the Rio Grande Valley to Corpus Christi, Canadians once filled RV parks, motels, and small diners. But this past winter, things changed. RV parks sit half empty, service jobs are cut, and small businesses in border towns report their quietest winter in a decade. The decline isn't just economic. Many Canadians feel Texas has become too politically extreme, from gun laws to immigration rhetoric. Some even say the dismissal of Canada as a 51st state stings. As a result, the flow of over $1 billion annually from Canadian visitors to South Texas is drying up. Businesses reliant on these visitors face an uncertain future. A Corpus Christi restaurant owner shared, "It's not that we've lost everything, but when the Canadians don't come, you feel the difference." This absence isn't just about money, it's about losing a long-standing connection between nations. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, was once a second home for Canadian visitors, especially from Ontario and Quebec. Each spring, tens of thousands arrived, staying weeks in condos, hotels, and beachside rentals. But in 2025, that wave of visitors is fading. Hotels report softer bookings from international travelers, golf courses offer steeper discounts, and some restaurants have stopped printing bilingual menus. While Myrtle Beach remains busy, the absence of Canadians has forced businesses to cut hours, reduce seasonal hires, and rethink expansion plans. Canadians were reliable, booking early, staying longer, and spending steadily. Their absence leaves coastal towns feeling the loss. A resort manager shared, "It's not that business is bad, but the Canadians were consistent, and now they're not." The impact goes beyond revenue, affecting the stability of communities reliant on tourism. South Carolina remains an attractive destination, but the absence of familiar Canadian visitors is forcing coastal towns to confront a new reality where certainty is no longer guaranteed. New Jersey was once an ideal stop for Canadians, especially those flying into New York or road tripping through the Northeast. Outlet malls, casinos, and beach towns were enticing draws. But in 2025, that appeal is fading. Retailers near Jersey Gardens and the Mills report fewer Canadian visitors, with luxury stores seeing more browsers than buyers. Some have cut staff or hours. Atlantic City's casinos also note fewer bookings from longtime Canadian guests. The reasons go beyond politics, it's practicality. Unfavorable exchange rates and longer border delays make the trip less worthwhile. More significantly, many Canadians feel their presence isn't valued as before. Dismissive comments or jokes about Canada's global role leave a sting. A casino worker in Atlantic City shared, "They don't say it, but you can feel the change in how they see us." New Jersey remains a convenient destination, but as the sense of welcome fades, Canadian visitors are seeking other places that offer value and respect. Atlanta, Georgia was once a magnet for Canadian travelers, drawn to world-class concerts, sports events, and food festivals. But in 2025, that allure is quietly fading. Canadian travel agencies report fewer bookings to Georgia, and Atlanta hotels note softer international shoulder seasons, particularly in spring and fall. Some point to headlines about voting laws, protests, and political tensions as making Georgia feel less welcoming to Canadian visitors. The economic impact is clear. With over $4 billion from international tourism a few years ago, Georgia feels the loss even from a small group like Canadians. Restaurants, rideshare drivers, and hotels report declining revenue. An Atlanta concierge remarked, "You don't always notice the Canadians when they're here, but you feel it when they're not." Georgia remains an attractive destination, but the absence of reliable Canadian visitors is forcing businesses to adjust strategies to face an uncertain future. Minnesota has long been a familiar destination for Canadians from Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Shopping centers in Duluth and Grand Forks once buzzed with Canadian visitors during holiday weekends. But in 2025, that traffic has noticeably dropped. Boutique stores and outlet chains are rethinking hours and staffing due to fewer Canadian shoppers. A store owner in International Falls shared, "We didn't lose 1 million people, but we lost our regulars, and they kept us stable." The reasons aren't just economic. Unfavorable exchange rates and higher gas prices play a role, but there's also a sense of tension at U.S. borders. The absence isn't catastrophic, but it's cumulative. For Minnesota's small towns, reliant on steady Canadian commerce, this shift forces a rethinking of how to maintain stability. Minnesota remains a familiar destination, but as Canadians stay away, these communities face a future less certain than before. The absence of Canadian visitors in these 7 states isn't just a temporary tourism dip. It's a warning about how a lack of respect, intentional or not, can disrupt long-standing economic and cultural ties. From Maine to Minnesota, small towns are feeling the impact. Jobs lost, shops shuttered, and communities once intertwined now separated by an invisible divide. The numbers may not shock like those in major tourism hubs, but for places reliant on Canada's steady flow, the loss is profound. The lesson here goes beyond economics. It's about connection between nations. When a neighbor feels unwelcome, they withhold not just their money, but their trust and goodwill. These states, from coastal towns to urban centers, are learning that respect isn't just a moral value, but an economic one. Can these communities win back Canadian visitors? Only time will tell. For now, their silence speaks louder than ever.